Karen's smirk could curdle milk, but the glint of stolen war medals in her hand was sharper than any knife. Her nephew, Jake, stood frozen, phone trembling in his grip, as the internet was about to explode with her betrayal. It started innocently enough, or so Karen claimed. She'd always been the family's self-appointed matriarch, the one who knew best and wasn't shy about it. Her brother, Tom, a Vietnam War veteran, had lived quietly in their small town of Willow Creek, his Purple Heart and Bronze Star tucked away in a locked box under his bed. Those medals were his pride, his pain, his proof of a war that still haunted his dreams. Karen, though, saw them differently. Shiny trinkets, leverage for attention, maybe even a quick buck. She'd been eyeing them for years, ever since Tom's health began to fade and he moved in with her. Tom was no pushover, but age and illness had dulled his fire. At 73, his hands shook when he poured coffee, and his memory wasn't what it used to be. Karen, with her perfectly manicured nails and louder-than-life voice, took charge of his care grudgingly. She'd complain to anyone who'd listen. "I'm practically a saint for taking him in," but behind closed doors, she rifled through his belongings, claiming it was organizing. Jake, her 22-year-old nephew, had been crashing at Karen's place for a few months, fresh out of college and jobless. He adored his Uncle Tom, spending hours listening to his war stories, the kind that made your chest tight with respect and sorrow. The trouble began when Karen decided Tom's medals deserved a better home. She'd been scrolling through online forums, where collectors traded war memorabilia for thousands. One evening, while Tom napped, she slipped into his room, pried open the lockbox, and pocketed the medals. Jake caught her in the act, standing in the doorway, his jaw on the floor. "What the hell, Aunt Karen?" he'd whispered, not wanting to wake Tom. Karen didn't flinch. "They're just sitting there, Jake. He doesn't even look at them anymore. I'm doing him a favor getting them appraised." Her tone was so casual, like she was discussing dinner plans. Jake's blood boiled. He knew Karen's appraisals were code for selling anything that wasn't nailed down. She'd already pawned off half her late husband's coin collection, claiming it was to pay bills. But this? Stealing a veteran's medals? It was a new low even for her. Jake tried reasoning with her, his voice low but shaking. "Those are Uncle Tom's. They're not yours to touch." Karen rolled her eyes, tossing her hair. "Oh, please, Jake, don't be so dramatic. He won't even notice they're gone." That night, Jake couldn't sleep. The image of Karen's smug face, the medals glinting in her hand, burned into his mind. He thought of Tom, who'd carried shrapnel in his leg for decades, who still woke up screaming from nightmares of jungles and gunfire. Jake grabbed his phone, opened X, and started typing. He poured it all out. How Karen had stolen the medals, how she justified it with her usual self-righteous nonsense, how Tom didn't even know yet. He attached a blurry photo he'd snapped of Karen holding the medals, her face unmistakable. "This is my aunt," he wrote. "She stole my uncle's war medals. Tell me I'm not crazy for being pissed." He hit post and went to bed, expecting maybe a few likes from his friends. By morning, Jake's phone was a war zone. His post had gone viral, racking up thousands of retweets and comments. Strangers were livid. "Who does this woman think she is?" one user wrote. "Stealing from a vet? Disgusting." Others shared stories of their own Karen-entitled relatives who'd crossed unforgivable lines. A local news outlet picked up the story, and by noon, Karen's face was plastered across the internet, dubbed Metal Thief Karen. The hashtag Justice for Tom trended for hours. Karen, oblivious at first, was sipping coffee when her phone started buzzing. Friends, neighbors, even her hairdresser sent screenshots of Jake's post. Her inbox filled with hate mail. "You're a disgrace," one message read. "Give those medals back or rot." Karen's confidence cracked. She stormed into Jake's room, waving her phone like a weapon. "You little brat. You put this online? You're ruining my life." Jake didn't back down. "You ruined your own life when you stole from Uncle Tom," he shot back. The air between them crackled with fury, years of unspoken resentment boiling over. Tom, woken by the shouting, shuffled into the living room, confused. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice frail. Jake hesitated, but Karen didn't. She spun a story faster than a politician, claiming Jake had misunderstood her intentions. "I was just cleaning, Tom. I'd never take your things." But Tom's eyes landed on the medals, still clutched in her hand. His face crumpled, not with anger but with a deep, aching betrayal. "Those are mine, Karen," he said quietly. "You know what they mean." The room went silent. Karen stammered, her usual bravado failing her. Jake, unable to hold back, told Tom everything: how she'd planned to sell the medals, how she'd dismissed their worth. Tom's hands trembled, not from age but from rage. "Get out," he said, his voice barely a whisper but heavy as iron. Karen froze, then laughed nervously. "Tom, come on, you don't mean that." But he did. For the first time in years, Tom stood tall, his eyes burning with the fire of the soldier he'd once been. "Get out." Karen left, but not quietly. She screamed about ungrateful family and fake news, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell. Jake stayed with Tom, helping him lock the medals back in their box. But the damage was done. The town turned on Karen. Her yoga class banned her. The local diner refused her service. Her social media accounts were suspended after waves of harassment. She became a pariah, her name synonymous with betrayal. Jake's post, meanwhile, sparked more than outrage. Veterans groups reached out, offering Tom support and even inviting him to speak at a local event. He declined, too humble. But Jake noticed a spark in his uncle's eyes that hadn't been there before. The internet's wrath had given Tom a strange kind of justice, but it couldn't erase the hurt. At night, Tom would sit by his window, staring at the stars, clutching the medals like a lifeline. Weeks later, Karen tried to make amends. She showed up at Tom's new apartment. Jake had helped him move out with a tearful apology and a box of Tom's favorite cookies. Tom listened, stone-faced, then shut the door without a word. Jake posted about it, and the internet roared again, some cheering Tom's resolve, others debating if Karen deserved forgiveness. The viral storm had faded, but its scars lingered. Karen lived alone now, her reputation in tatters. Tom, though, found peace in small things. Jake's visits, his garden, the weight of his medals in his hands. The story of Karen and the medals wasn't just a family feud, it was a mirror. It showed how far entitlement could fall, how loyalty could fracture, and how the internet could amplify both justice and cruelty. Tom's medals were back where they belonged, but the cost was a family broken beyond repair. Jake, now working a steady job, kept posting, not for clout but to honor veterans like his uncle. He'd learned the power of a single post and the pain it could unleash. What do you think? Did Karen deserve her downfall? Or was the internet's judgment too harsh? Share your thoughts on where justice lies in a story like this.